Saint Michael Lutheran Church is a welcoming community of faith, inspired by joyful worship to grow in selfless service as we share the good news of Jesus Christ. Welcome to the sanctuary at Saint Michael Lutheran Church, a really wonderful space that I've heard described as a modern cathedral. Certainly has the ceiling height of a cathedral, but it is a bit brighter than most cathedrals. And that speaks to the kind of modern sense. We are a church that worships in a traditional style. We have deep roots that go back generations and generations through the singing of hymns and liturgy, but we also do so in a way that makes it fresh and new and contemporary in the moment. It's a way of inviting everyone to be a participant in worship. That's actually what liturgy means. It's the work of the people. And so on any given Sunday, you might see any number of folks participating in any number of ways.
Worship in the arts is a very important part of Saint Michael Lutheran Church. We're a very welcoming church to have people being involved in our practices. We do current liturgical worship. We also involve people in our congregation. You can be an assistant minister. You can be a communion assistant. You can be an acolyte. You can be an usher. You can be a tray bearer. You can be a lector. We want our congregation to be involved in the service. It's not just done by the pastor.
St. Michael is blessed to have a lot of really, really good instrumentalists, amateur instrumentalists that this is what they do for fun. This is what they like to do. Our brass group, we get together like clockwork, usually on Reformation, Thanksgiving Eve, Christmas Eve, sometimes Epiphany, if it falls on a Sunday, Easter, Palm Sunday, and sometimes Pentecost. And I have been known to have it not just be a brass group. Sometimes if I have enough people interested, we turn it into a whole instrumental ensemble with flutes and oboes and string bass and whoever wants to come. And I'll, orchestrate it so everybody can have a part to play. And it really turns out great. We do everything from traditional hymn accompaniments to mellow, Taizé, prayer service music that really adds a lot, especially during Lent and on Ash Wednesday or Palm Sunday. The Taizé pieces are really great. And the best part, I think, about instrumentalists at St. Michael is that we have kids who are in 7th grade who are playing, and we have people who their age cannot be disclosed for this video who are playing. But people, all age ranges, from all walks of life, all working together to create just outstanding music. And they're volunteers. They take this music home, they hopefully practice, and I'm talking about my husband. And they create something that's amazing, that when you're sitting back on an Easter Sunday and you hear that brass group start, or the percussionist who has, the cymbal part that's like, whoa, it's just glorious. The thing that I try really hard to do is, no matter who comes up to me, whether it's a middle schooler or a new member or anyone who says, I think I've got a trumpet player. I used to play handbells, blah, blah, blah. I play flute. Do you ever need another flute player? I really try and plug all of those people in at different times during the church year and find something where they can feel successful, and that it's not just, oh, well, yeah, I can check that off my volunteer box. It's, wow, this was really fun. And yeah, I would do that again. I would love to help lead worship like that. And that's a rewarding part of my job, is to be able to find those people and put them in a place where they can feel successful. The recorder group at St. Michael is we're a hoot. We have a lot of fun, and it's kind of not to be sketchy, but it's kind of like one of our like fringe ensembles. We show up just because we love to be there and we love to laugh and we don't take ourselves too seriously. But we also play some really, really good music, whether it's contemporary composers. And yes, there are still people who actually write new music for recorder consorts, or we're, rocking the Praetorius and Palestrina. We play everything from soprano recorders, we have alto recorders, tenor recorders, all the way to bass recorders. And our scheduling is pretty flexible. We'll meet like once a month. We practice for half hour, 45 minutes. We might play once a month, or, if we want to spice it up for Reformation or for Thanksgiving Eve, let's add a little recorder. The good thing is that it's also a place where if you've always wanted to learn to play an instrument, or you wanted to try something, we're a very forgiving group. I always encourage people, come, I will give you a book, I will give you the tools, I will even give you a recorder. Take it home, try it out, see what you think. That's recorders in a nutshell. You should come try it out because we have a great time.
Bell choirs are wonderful things to be involved in just because it's a call to worship. Bells have been around for a long, long time. Even when I was in Tanzania this February, they had huge bells that were rung just at specific times to alert the community, whether it was something joyous, something sad, or something that was an emergency. And they had different rings for them all. Well, St. Michael has bells that we use in worship, and it helps to glorify God in song.
Blessed Beginnings is a really unique opportunity that St. Michael provides to young families. It's for families with children from birth to 18 months to come and just have 40 minutes, 30 minutes of rocking and singing, playing instruments, playing peekaboo with scarves, singing lullabies, doing finger plays, doing bouncing, and providing all of those sensory experiences for your child that really, really help with their growth and development. The thing that makes me the most proud is as a young family, you're looking for these opportunities for your child, and you go out into the community and you find baby music classes like this where you have to really pay top dollar to have that type of experience. And here, it's part of our ministry. This is something that we provide every week for families to come. And not only is it, helping with your child's development, but it's also helping provide a bond for the families who attend together. So when your child turns 1, everybody gets to celebrate. You're like, oh, did they have cake? Oh, yeah, they had cake. Oh, here's the picture. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And, when your child gets their first ear infection and you're like, oh, yeah, that was us 2 months ago. And it's almost like a great way to get together and just realize that you're not alone. And you form friendships that last as your kids grow and move on to other ministries in our congregation. And it's just relaxing and fun. There's no wrong way to experience baby class. And a lot of times grandparents will come in and sit in and bounce and dance and play. All are welcome.
The program God's Children Sing that we have at St. Michael is a parent participation music and movement class for toddlers and preschoolers. And it's a great time to get together children and parents to get to know each other and sing and dance and play instruments. It's a faith-based program, so we do Bible stories. There's a lot of folk song in it, and the kids have a great time, and I think the parents have a good time too, getting to know each other and making connections that can lead them through their child's growth in the church. They'll always have parents that they're familiar with and able to be friends with. So that's always a good benefit of classes like that.
Children's choir is probably a 45-minute period every week that's one of my favorite things to experience. It's a time full of singing and playing instruments and just having fun, where kids who are kindergarten through 5th grade age can come together in a safe and caring environment and play singing games and learn about like Lutheran liturgy and Lutheran hymnody and good singing technique, and also how to be kind to one another. My background is teaching children through the folk songs of their culture. As Lutherans, the folk songs of our culture are hymns. The majority of the music that I use with the children's choir are hymns and things that they can find in the hymnals that we have here at Saint Michael. When you have a book in the sanctuary, even if you're 5, that you can flip through and say, oh, I know that. That gives them ownership of their worship experience. And that makes all the difference in the world. When they can come in with their robe and they can sit with their friends and we can stand up and we can actually have an amazing portion of the worship service where we get to lead worship. And then we go back and sit with our families and we have those experiences that we've had in our children's choir rehearsal, but then they pop up in worship, whether it's our hymn of praise that we're doing for the liturgy or whether it's our sending hymn. And all of a sudden you can see the kids in children's choir, their eyes, and they're like, I know that. And then they start singing and they'll look over at me and I'm like, I know, right? Yeah. It's just a great, great experience for all the kids at Saint Michael. One of the music opportunities that we have here for adults is singing in the adult choir. Our adult choir meets on Wednesdays at 7:30, and we're usually done by 8:30. Sometimes, if Christmas or Easter are looming, we might go 8:45, 9 o'clock. But that's because we have so many things that we love to contribute to the service, whether it's the psalm or singing special parts on the liturgy or adding an extra anthem. And we do have a real varied repertoire that we use. One week we might be singing a unison hymn that's new from our new All Creation Sings hymnal. And then another week we might be working on, some 4-part Bach chorale that now we're having to really do breathing, and really listen for intonation. A lot of good music is made and a lot of good technique is employed every week. Not only does the adult choir provide a great musical experience, but it's also a great support system. I mean, you show up, you have friends that you see every week. Sometimes we have been known to hang out for a little bit after rehearsal. It's just very fun. And then we come and, we all sit over in the choir section at late service most of the time. Sometimes if it's a high festival Sunday or Easter or Christmas, we'll be here for a couple of services. It requires a lot of dedication. A shout out to the people who have been in choir for 25 plus years. I mean, people who have sung in choir since I came here, and they're volunteers. They come every single week. I mean, whether they want to or not. And the resounding opinion is there are times where I'm sitting on my couch going, I really don't want to come to rehearsal. But then they'll come after rehearsal and be like, I'm so glad I came. This was so fun. And that's really what it's all about, is having fun experiences where we can get together and share our gifts and then come and help lead worship and be an integral part of the service that really adds to the joy of worship at Saint Michael.
We have many, many pieces of art around Saint Michael. We have icons that have been painted by experts. We have people in our own congregation that have painted different pictures for Easter, Christmas, Reformation that are seen around the church. We have photography around the church that has been done by many people to show what is special times during services. St. Michael is going to be having a biannual art show, which one is coming up now, that we're going to have art from children all the way through adults in any medium that you would like to do. So that'd be something that as time goes on here, that a lot of those things will remain in the church with descriptions from those parishioners that created them in whatever way that they chose.
Sometimes in order to really see what's happening behind the doors, you have to open the doors and take a peek to see what's all going on backstage, you might say, or behind the scene. And that's what happens when people join the council leadership. You get a whole new perspective on on how a congregation functions and what it takes to make things happen. And you get a chance to practice leadership skills and bring your experience and ability into the leadership of a congregation. It's also a chance to get to know people and bond with them over a period of a couple years as you serve. Some really exciting things happen at our council meetings. That's where decisions are made about direction. And I just encourage anyone who might have some thoughts about being a part of that, whether you're just a young person or whether you're a retired person. We need a great diversity of voices on the leadership of the council.
Well, care ministry is a very important and vital part of St. Michael's community of faith. And I think what's exciting about care ministry is it really allows each of us to find ways that we can reach out and care for others in our family, church family, and community. So it's not just a program for people at St. Michael's, but it also is an outreach program. The care ministers are a group of people that have had some special training to help us hopefully be able to reach out in a compassionate and empathetic, spiritual-based way of caring for our people. Our healthcare ministry began about 5 years ago when we realized that more and more of our church family were experiencing health difficulties or changes, and it was hard to sometimes know how they were doing. And so we felt that this team of people could be available to help pastor in follow-up to be sure that things were going fine, or if they were not, that we were aware of that so that we could be available to help in prayer or if they needed meals. The other things that we do are to provide transportation to doctor appointments if needed, to sit and provide respite care if someone needs a break from the care that they are giving to their family member. It's really become an important part of our ministry here because there are many times where it's hard for people to call and say, this is going on and I'm having some difficulty. And this is an intentional way that we're reaching out to people that we know have had a life change and try to be sure that we are walking the journey with them as best we can so that they are not alone. And if they need anything, we can be there to help them. Our Eucharistic ministry is an opportunity for us to take communion to folks that are not able to attend worship in person. And this really began as a ministry for people that were homebound or in assisted care facilities because they were not able to come to our worship experiences, but we felt that it was important to offer communion to them as a way that they still felt a part of the church family. It has since then become something that we also offer to people who might be recovering from a health situation and just not able to get to worship, but who are feeling the need to be with Christ in communion. And the beauty of this is a member of our congregation's been trained to take that to them, and it's actually from our worship the previous Sunday that we take that communion wine to them. And so it's been blessed and certainly brings to them the presence of our community of faith so that they know they're not alone. The grief ministry is a program that is continuing to expand as we find different ways that we feel it's important to reach out and care for people that are experiencing loss. We initially began by doing some mailings and follow-ups through the mail for people who'd lost loved ones through death. And we are now in the process of expanding that to include educational opportunities through our Lunch and Learn program. And we've also been writing Good Grief for the Wednesday Wingtips and in the Wings as a means to, again, further educate and tell people about the normalcy of loss and the grief experience. Our hope is that we can create a culture here at St. Michael of a welcoming presence to all that experience loss, because what we know is that we are all walking wounded when we come in the door. And we don't always realize that, but we are. And so we want people to know they're loved and cared for, and they can be here with us in their loss journey, and they are loved. The prayer team is probably one of our central aspects of care ministry in that it really is an opportunity for us to be prayerful for all of those in our church family on a regular basis, either by looking in the directory and raising up names of people, or responding to prayer requests that we receive on a regular basis on the yellow cards or in an email request. The electronic prayer request form is another way that we receive those. And just in general situations that we're aware of, that we try to be mindful and prayerful for those people as a community surrounding them in God's love. It's an important part of how we embrace people with God's Spirit and raise up people that we care about in our church family so that they know they're not alone in the life challenges that they experience personally or that our community is experiencing in the world. So it's a very integral part of the life of a congregation. Soul Stitchers is a group of people that meet once a month and come together to make a variety of things. We make prayer shawls, prayer squares, hats and scarves that we donate for people during the wintertime. And we make prayer beads as well as lap robes. These are items that we are able to give away to members in the congregation who might be going through chronic health situations or some particular situation that we feel they might appreciate having something to wrap themselves up in or to cover them, knowing that prayers were offered as people were making these items. And it's evolved into different things depending on the time of year and the needs that we have. Last year we gave probably several hundred scarves and hats away to the Salvation Army that they could give to people who come there in the wintertime to their nightlight program. And so it's not just for people that come to our congregation, but it's also a way that we try to help people in need in the community. The thing that I love about Soul Stitchers is it's a tactile way. It's a way to feel and touch the softness of God's love and the care of people that have made that item. And the prayer squares are nice because they're small and portable, and they can be easily given to a friend who you might know is needing some extra support. It's just a nice way to get the word out to others in an easy, small manner. So it's been a fun ministry that's developed over time. The other thing that we do is we take care kits out to members of our congregation that are not able to come to worship on a regular basis. And so it's a different way of reaching out in a kind, caring way to those people to say, we still know you're a part of our community of faith. The most important gift that we get in care ministry isn't what we're able to give to people as much as what we receive as people who are involved in care ministry. It's amazing to see how Christ works through others, and others who we are there to care for give us even more back.
St. Michael is blessed to have Little Angels Preschool. It's a program that not only serves the congregation, but it serves the surrounding community and families in our area, so that everyone in this part of town can have an affordable, faith-based option for their children to have their first school experience. We serve families with 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. We have varied class options, anywhere from 2 half-days a week to 5 half-days a week. And the biggest thing that I think is important is not only do we focus on independence and being able to, be apart from mom and dad for 2.5 hours, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is. We also provide an opportunity for these kids that when they are done at Little Angels, they're ready to go to kindergarten and they are ready to rock it and be confident and be leaders in the classroom on that very first day. And they're prepared to be kind, caring friends and empathetic learners, and understand how other people learn and just get along with everyone, which is really good. We started Little Angels Preschool 19 years ago in the fall of 2004. And I was staying home with my daughter, who was just born at the time, and Tammy was staying home with her kids. Before that, I taught in the public schools, and I was an elementary music specialist. And I have my master's degree in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis in early childhood music education. And that's really my passion. And so we try and make sure that every single day when the kids come to school, they get 30, 40 an hour's worth of music and art education, whether they're doing music and movement with me or whether they're having a fabulous art experience with Mrs. Curran. Those types of experiences are part of our everyday life at Little Angels, and it keeps things fun and exciting and joyous. That's the best part about our program. People will often say when we're on summer break and you can't hear the preschool down the hall, they miss the music and the sounds and the laughter, and you can always tell when we're in the building.
Good or bad?
Yes, exactly. But it's great because it's the sound of learning. They're learning to set up their snack spot. They're learning to put on their coat by themselves. They're learning to put on their shoes by themselves. They're learning to like put away their things and take care of their own personal space and their own personal property. And how awesome that a 3-year-old can have that type of independence from just being in a program for 5 hours a week. I feel very blessed to have a job that allows me to do what we do here. Send all your kids.
So for Sunday school, we always start here in the sanctuary, and we have our own just kind of family opening where parents can come with their kiddos, and we love to sing camp songs, and we have a little story time. And we always gather offering for somewhere special in our community, like Project Hope. After our opening in the sanctuary, we go to our classrooms. We use the Godly Play curriculum, which is a Sunday school curriculum by Dr. Jerome Berryman. And as a Montessori teacher, it was really important to me to have a curriculum that was very hands-on. So all of the Bible stories that we use in our Godly Play curriculum come with these beautiful materials. And so us as teachers tell the stories with these beautiful materials, and then afterwards, the kids can hold the stories in their own hands, and they love to take time to retell the story in their own words with their friends. If they don't feel like doing that, it's just kind of what we call free response time. And they have a bunch of different art supplies at their disposal, and they can just create and color and draw and paint and use clay or Play-Doh. And it really is a time for them to build community and get to know their church friends. I think church friends are very, very important. Part of our family ministry is our Seeds of Faith classes. And it, once upon a time, was called Faith Stepping Stones, but we've kind of revamped it. It's just a program that helps parents and children kind of walk the journey of their faith life together, and for us as a congregation to kind of give them tools. Our first class that we offer is called Introduction to Prayer, and that's for parents of preschoolers on up who are interested in just learning more about how to make prayer a regular part of their family routine and their everyday lives. So just really practical ways to implement times of prayer and ways to talk to your kiddos about what you're thankful for and what your needs are with your family or people you want to pray for, and just how to go about doing that. Our next Seeds of Faith class is called Introduction to Worship. And that is where we just take all of the kiddos at Sunday school and we spend time in the sanctuary talking about all of the different elements of worship. So we talk about the baptismal font, and we talk about the altar and the communion elements, and we go up and we see the organ and the handbells. We show them how to look at a bulletin and how to find songs in the hymnal. And then we also just talk about the attitude of worship and kind of how to have good church manners and be an active participant as we get older. Our next Seeds of Faith class has to do with Bible stories, and that happens in 2nd and 3rd grade, and it's when kids get their first Bible from Saint Michael. We have a class for 3 weeks during Sunday school time, and the kids and their parents spend time with us going through some of the great stories of the Bible, just talking about what those Bible stories mean for us and our faith journey, just helping them feel like kind of a member of our congregation, making them feel like a part of it. Then we also have our First Communion classes. So any children and their parents who are interested in taking those First Communion classes when they feel their child is ready, they have the opportunity to come and learn with us and it's pastor and me and some other people. And we talk about welcoming everybody to the church table and what that means, what taking communion means for us as a church family. And then we celebrate First Communion with those families on Maundy, Thursday. And the night before, we bring everybody together to have a Seder remembrance meal, just to kind of remember that first Holy Communion that Jesus did during the Passover before he died on the cross. And it's just a really wonderful time of celebration. We do it during Holy Week with Easter right around the corner for the very reason that it's just such a special thing to celebrate together.
The confirmation program at Saint Michael is very active and just a really great program, not only for the youth who are participating, but also for the adults who are helping to lead. We are on a 3-year program for confirmation. Students begin in 6th grade and they go all the way through 8th grade. We usually kind of break it down into 1 year we focus on the New Testament, 1 year we focus on the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament, and 1 year we focus primarily on the Catechism and Lutheran teachings and theology. It's just a lot of fun, which maybe you don't always think of confirmation as fun, but we have a lot of fun. We take some occasional field trips to places like the Tri-Faith Center, or last year we went to go see some beehives as a part of our study on creation. And this year we're hoping to go visit some people in their workplaces as we talk about the concept of vocation and how we live out our calling of faith. So high school ministry at Saint Michael has traditionally been a part of the youth and young adult position, which has been open for us the last couple of years. So it's provided an opportunity for other adults to become a part of that program. Some young adults in the congregation and some others who have been involved in perhaps middle school have stepped up and been a part of leading the high school youth. And that's been a really great experience. Youth meet usually every week on Sunday. They have a forum. They get together and talk about some Bible study issues or some just things that are happening in their lives. Usually each month we have an activity together. We go to Val's Pumpkin Patch, or might go out and do some snow activities in the wintertime. And then every summer we take a big trip somewhere. This past year we took a trip to western Nebraska and learned a lot of things at the Pine Ridge Reconciliation Center, and then made our way down through the Sandhills and just enjoyed that creation. Then ended up at Halsey National Forest. The largest hand-planted forest in the entire country is in Nebraska. So this coming year, this next summer, we will be heading to the National Youth Gathering, the first one in 6 years, and we're very excited to be a part of that under the theme Created to Be. And so we're looking forward to a great group of kids heading down to New Orleans in July, where hopefully it won't be as hot as this July.
So tell me a little bit about adult education here at St. Michael.
Adult education at St. Michael includes quite a range of opportunities. The men's Bible study, women's Bible studies once a month, faith sharing groups, and things that come up just along the way, like the racism classes last spring. Mostly what I'm involved in personally is a variety of evening classes. They're always Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock with the Zoom opportunity. And those are just particular topics that let us delve a little deeply into Bible study.
And so you were telling me earlier that you have a background in education too, right?
Well, my background in education is actually science education. I have a PhD in curriculum and instruction, but it's how to teach science. And so,
but religion's kind of a science, right? We could look at it that way.
Yeah, if you're delving more deeply into anything, that background helps.
Oh yeah.
And so in the last 10 years or so, my Bible background, which goes back pretty far, has been my interest in kind of continuing with what I've done in curriculum and instruction and just turning it in a different direction.
Tell me a little bit about what inspires you to come up with the topics for the different studies that you share.
Well, a lot of the time it's whatever has appeared in the news, there are always new discoveries in archaeology, new thoughts about language studies, and that brings into focus some of the older things that I've been studying in the Bible for years. And of course, some of the most interesting things come up from student questions in class. The things we share in class just force me to go a little deeper into, well, why didn't I think of that? So there are lots of possibilities. This fall, it's a study of Paul, and Paul as the grumpy apostle is what I had avoided for years. But as I get deeper and deeper into that, man, that is one interesting guy.
Right, and that's like, it makes for great topics for, this kind of stuff that we don't always think about, talking about the grumpy guy in the Bible, but it's
Right.
enlightening.
Yeah. And since we read, almost every Sunday, it seems like we read something from Paul, this just lets you go into it and get broader context.
Right. Your classes aren't just the only ones that we have here. We have a lot of other adult education opportunities. Can you tell me about a couple of those?
Well, I think one of the nicest ones that has gone on recently in recent years is faith sharing in small groups. These have been mostly women, although the men's Bible study is very similar, where you really become a little family almost. And there are opportunities, though we try to keep the groups small, there are opportunities for starting new groups. And they're always worthwhile. You find you go in a direction maybe you hadn't expected, but always educational, always mind expanding.
Right. And it's nice to have kind of that intimate, smaller group too,
The smaller
especially when you talk
groups.
about some of those sensitive topics.
Right. And it gives everybody a chance to talk and share.
So there's a lot of different groups that get together at St. Michael for study and for fellowship. One of those is a men's group that meets on Fridays at 9 o'clock in the morning. It starts always with some story time about what's happening in the world and in our lives. And it's really become a great connection point for the guys that come. They experience a lot of bond and friendship between them and share things that are happening in their lives. We usually tell a few jokes that will probably just stay in that room. And we break then into the study of the scriptures. We always follow the lectionary. So it's sort of like a foretaste of what's to come on Sunday mornings. We dive into the scripture lessons, and it's really wonderful to hear so many different perspectives and takes on it. And some people join on Zoom. That's always a possibility. We always have some guys who join on Zoom, and some of us are here in person, and it really works out great. It's open to anyone can join and be a part of that group, and hopefully some of you might find that a great touch point in your week. And we have donuts every week.
Bible school happens every summer, and it's like a theme every year. And so last year we had twists and turns. So it was all about different kinds of games that we could play. And we've done a castle theme, and trying to think of some of the other ones.
Surf Shack.
Surf Shack. We always get these great puppets, which is the kids love. So there's always a great theme, and it's just a chance for a time in the summer for people to kind of reconnect and to have a fun thing for kids to come and do and learn about Jesus and the stories from the Bible. And it's also a great opportunity for volunteers, especially our middle school kids really love getting to come, and they usually love to act and help with games.
And high schoolers too.
High schoolers too.
They come and help too. So we also, we give registrations for Vacation Bible School to our preschoolers, which not all are members here. And a lot of our members bring their friends. So we also, it's not just geared towards our St. Michael youth. And also with each Vacation Bible School, we collect items for different charities. We've collected pajamas and blankets, and our big one is always the diaper drive. So we usually do the kids, VBS kids versus the congregation, and we have raised sometimes up to 12,000 diapers. This last year, we chose the Children's Home or the Children's Hospital of Omaha. We collected books and crayons and coloring books and new toys for them. And we just got a letter, and it was very much appreciated.